Hi, everybody. Pressure Wave, Jared here with the Moog Messenger. Hey, it's a new Moog. And those of you who know me know I'm a Moog enthusiast, and this is a really exciting synthesizer. The thing I wanted to talk about this synth and show a little bit is it's not just a synth for beginners. I keep seeing YouTubers who do reviews of synthesizers coming to that point at some point in their video, or even putting it in the title, that Moog has finally come up with a synthesizer for beginners. Okay, look, I understand that this is a less expensive Moog synthesizer, but that doesn't mean it's exclusively for beginners. That's a crazy idea. No, this is, I don't know exactly what, but it's an example of what Moog is trying to do, packing some different directions and some extra utility into more affordable instruments. Call it a market thing where they're trying to go after other manufacturers who are making less expensive synths with a feature-packed, distinctly Moog kind of instrument, or, maybe they have beginners in mind to some extent. But those of you who are advanced synthesizer programmers, I really would hate, I think, for you to be turned off by the idea that this is just for beginners and doesn't have a lot of advanced functionality. That is just not the case. This is actually a very advanced instrument with some really, really cool possibilities packed under the hood, and I want to show you something that's been very fun for me in the very few days that I've had it, because it just got here on Friday, and it's Monday right now. So, first off, I don't have my wireless mic, so I'm kind of handheld here. Let me just play the init patch that I've got, and I'm going to adjust the the filter, so that you can hear what is going on here. Classic Moog thing, right? So it sounds like a Moog in that sense. It's got the classic, Bob Moog ladder filter, very popular sound. Okay, now let's do a quick look at what is here in terms of the layout. 2 oscillators, sub-oscillator is in the mix here. Noise, filter section, dual envelopes, one that's specifically for controlling the filter, one for the amplifier. Now, if you've used a modern synthesizer, analog synth, a lot of them have a very similar architecture. I'm thinking of the Bass Station 2. I'm thinking of, some of the versions of the 101 type synth that have come out where they've added a second oscillator. I'm thinking other Moogs like the subsequent 25. This is a very familiar kind of setup, where this one takes it a little off to the west is in the wave shaping possibilities that are here. You can shape, excitingly, all of your oscillators, including the sub-oscillator, but with oscillator 1 and 2, your wave shaping actually goes in a unique direction, because past the triangle waveform, you get into wave folding. Yes, when I said it goes off to the west, I meant the West Coast, because you have a wave folding feature on each of the 2 primary oscillators. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a pretty, classic kind of bass patch here, where I do some envelope controlled filter cutoff. I'm going to take the keyboard down an octave. I'm going to keep the oscillator 1, which is the only one we're hearing right now, at 8 feet. And we're going to eventually have oscillator 2 at 16. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So let's first take our oscillator 1, and let's go ahead and do some wave folding. I'm going to put it right there. Already, on an oscilloscope, you would see that the triangle wave is being folded over onto itself, and some interesting stuff is happening harmonically. Let's turn that down for a second. Let's bring in our sub-oscillator. Okay, love a shapeable sub-oscillator, because we can get up into some weird territory with some pulse width adjustment. But in this case, I'm actually going to take it way down to the triangle and just let that sub ring a little bit. And it's really, really, really beastly bassy. Okay, let's turn that off. Now let's bring in oscillator 2. Okay, now at 16 feet with that wave folder. Again, really, really, really punchy and interesting and unique. Now, let's bring them all together. Okay, now let's adjust our envelope filter cutoff, amount. Okay, already very different from your typical kind of Moog bass. You can get into that subzone, and as you allow more, frequency through, you get something that's almost even digital sounding, which I know, analog synth, why would I want it to sound digital? There's a kind of like 80s nostalgia vibe that, to be able to get into that folded West Coasty sound, unique harmonic content that maybe we associate with like a FM synth. That is really, really, really cool. Okay, now, really quick, I'm going to throw on the sequencer, and let's pull up the sequencer settings. Let's pull up the clock division. We want clock division 7, which is 8th notes, if I'm remembering correctly. Let's go back to the sequencer. Let's hit record. Actually, before we hit record, let's come up with a melody, like a bass line real quick. Oh, I like that. Let's do that. Okay. There we go. Now I should be able to snappy, punchy, very unique. And we haven't even gotten into some of the stuff you can do with the feedback. If you don't have anything plugged into the external input on here, the feedback options feedback option on the filter section is actually really powerful. Let's try that. This synth gets into some very aggressive territory very quickly, and that's very exciting. So, okay, this is like one extremely basic example of why this synth is more than just a beginner's synth, I think. Again, just using the wave folders as part of the construction of bass lines gets you something that, has Moog elements to it, but takes it a little bit further. And again, haven't even gone into all of the features of the sequencer, because it has the ability to do kind of like parameter recordings on a lower scale than like Electron devices, but some. And then it has things like, probability options and all kinds of interesting features in the sequencer section. So if you're thinking about this synth and you were at all dissuaded by hearing that it was like kind of aimed at beginners, please don't be. More, what I think we could say about this synthesizer very safely is that it's a very ambitious design idea from Moog, because it uses Moog DNA, but adds some extra oomph in some other areas, like this resonance, bass preservation option that they've added in here. And, they're bringing it in at a lower price point. And, you can tell that it's not at the same like manufacturing level that other Moogs are. Obviously they've switched their manufacturing recently, but, this isn't like a Fetar Keybed It feels nice. It's like more mechanically snappy than it would, like the Fatars are like kind of this meatiness. And the top is metal, but then the bottom part here is plastic. So yeah, okay, there are some manufacturing compromises. That's why the price is the way it is, though, not because they've made something that would only appeal to the most basic synthesizer user. No, this gives back. It has a lot. And the thing I'll say about it is it's aggressive. This is an angry synthesizer. This synthesizer pushes into like that aggro zone really, really, really quickly. And if you're like me, where you do kind of like, where you like that kind of like industrial sound in some of the patches you make, this works out really, really, really good for that. Okay, I've rambled enough. Moog Messenger, not just for beginners. I hope that you found this useful. And if you want to hear anything else from this synth, hit me up. Thanks.